Hi and welcome to Rad Class. Today I'm going to talk a bit about bullying. And this again is something from my life, sadly. So, being bullied um, affects you in horrifying ways later down in life. But to tell the story, I have to start back in kindergarten, where some of the older kids actually were after me, or rather, one kid were after me. But other than that, I actually had a pretty good time in kindergarten. But then I started in school and I got slowly frozen out. So when we hit second grade, I was almost completely frozen out of all social activities in the class, and I often was alone because there was no one who wanted to hang around with me, and I don't know why. I still don't know why. And at the same time, they found out I had trouble spelling and reading because of my dyslexia. So the teachers began to treat me different as well because they began to actually call me stupid. And that is bullying as well from an adult. And then there was this kid in class who actually left the school. And when he left the school, I got the full attention of bullying from both the class and all the other classes on the school. I got a nickname that stuck for 18 years that every kid, even some adults in the city I grew up in, used. I have tried to get beaten up uh, at least once a week. And when I got beaten up and I cried and got back into class, I was often told, "Why are you coming in late? And why are you crying? Stop crying!" And they didn't do anything about it. And I actually didn't have any teachers who seemed to care about I'm getting bullied. Um, and so it was that for 5 years into sixth grade, I was bullied every day, and I had almost no one to hang around with. I hang around with two other kids who were bullied as well. And when we were around, I got bullied by those two. So it was like I was always the bottom feeder, and I don't know why really. But then in sixth grade, I actually got a new math teacher, and it was a wonderful experience because this teacher didn't see me like the rest of the crew around the school. She saw me as a kid who wanted to learn, and I began to learn math at a terrifying rate. I became one of the best in the class from being one of the worst because she taught me how numbers interact, how they always work, and it was a wonderful experience. But I was beaten by the bigger kids, and it was horrible. I don't wish for anyone to experience that. And I got called names and I got frozen out of social activities, which means that today I still have trouble being social with people because I haven't learned from a young age how to be social with people. And it's horrible. And if I was social with people, it was often the same two or three persons over and over because they were the only ones who wanted to have anything to do with me. And it was horrible. And I could sit in class and then something broke somewhere in the school and it was my fault. I have tried to be forced to take off my clothes and strip in a class, and then I got the blame because I took off my clothes. And all the kids who were around didn't get any blame at all. I have tried a teacher asking me if I was gay and just trying to get attention because I was being bullied. And it's horrifying to think that adults acting like that to a kid who has just been beaten up. I have tried to a snow day to get pulled out of class while I was hanging on to a table, and they just punched me until I let go of the table, took me outside, filled every crevice of my body and clothes with snow. And when I got back inside, I was crying and had a blood nose, and I was bleeding and I was crying and I was all wet. the teacher came in and blamed me for interfering in what she was doing, and it was horrifying. That's every day for 8 years basically, and it was such a harsh experience. And I actually cried every day I had to go home from school basically, and I had a long way to go. So when the older kids began to let the air out of my bicycle, I had to walk for 2 hours to get home, and I cried. And then before I got home, like 2 kilometers before I got home, I stopped crying and I dried the tears away, and then took home because I didn't want my parents to know. Because that is something kids tend to do. If their parents are having a hard time, they tend to not tell their parents about what is happening because they don't want to burden the parents. And it's horrifying, but that's true. So when I finally began to, a morning when I had to go to school, I just began to cry and I couldn't stop. And my parents asked what was wrong. And I told them about the past 8 years, how I felt, how it had been. And they were horrified and asked cryingly why I didn't say anything, why didn't I speak up? And I said I didn't want to bring the pain to you. And they asked me, what should we do? Do you want to trade schools? And this was 2 months before the end of school, and I had to go to a different school anyway. So I said, no, no, I will do the last 2 months. It's okay. And I did. And then I got to another school where I thought I could have a fresh start. And at the start of the school, it actually looked like that. And then 2 weeks in, the same pattern just emerged. I became a bottom feeder. I became one who got bullied, who got pushed around. I still did not know my own role in all of this because I began later in life to actually look at how I behaved and can see I was kind of the class clown most of the time because I didn't know what else to do but to do stupid stuff to try and get some positive attention or to get any attention from my classmates. And it's horrible that I had to do that to actually get attention. And mostly of the time, it was a bad negative attention I got afterwards. But then, as an adult, it all cracked. Um, I had a pretty hard work at a point, and it stressed me so much that I went down with stress. I got stress, and I were sick for several days where I just laid in my bed shaking, couldn't really speak. I was having such a bad time. And then afterwards, about 3 weeks after, I just cracked. I just began crying randomly. I didn't know why. The thought of me having to go somewhere just made me crack a cry. Like I could go down to the basement and begin to get my bicycle ready, and then I just sat down and began crying, and I don't know why. And it's like if you see your life like a glass, my glass has been full for so many years. The tension has been right at the surface because even as an adult, I got bullied. When I was in classes, I didn't get invited to stuff. I was always frozen out. I was always the one who had to do the stuff alone, just like in my school years as a kid. No one wanted to group with me, and I don't know why. Because I always came prepared. I always knew what I was talking about. But then it just burst and the water just tripped over the glass and I had to go to therapy to find out, well, you actually this stress episode released your depression, your anxiety, and all that. So that kickstarted this entire thing where I actually found out I had some social anxiety and anxiety for schools and teachers because of the school and teachers I have had. And it's horrifying that something that happened as a kid can affect the rest of your life. And it affects every day of my life because when I lie in bed or I just have a quiet moment, I often think back to all the times I was told off as a kid or something, where once I was sitting at a chair in the opposite end of the room, a closet broke down, and that was my fault. And I have tried to get the blame for something happening across the school while I was not there. And every time you were like, "But did I do that? Had I done something before that?" And that pattern of thinking is still haunting me today because I finished three educations, and none of those times I actually had a time where I was in a party really. Everyone was always like, I was good enough when they had to get help because I actually knew the things I was doing. And I was always helping the other with their projects or if they had some questions. I was the one doing the homework. I was the one who was always ready at school. But I was never accepted, and I don't know why. And it's horrible because it makes you think every day, what did I do wrong? Did I do something wrong? Have I done something wrong? Am I the wrong person? Instead of actually thinking, what is wrong with them? Why didn't they see that you are actually good enough? What had they not seen? Because I have looked at this so much. I've talked with a lot of people. I've talked with some of the friends I have today. Why they're actually friends with me? Because sometimes I can't understand why people actually want to be around me because I am just the person I am. And then they say, but you are a kind, good-hearted person who just wants the world the best, who wants everyone to have the best life of their life, who wants to help if someone is in trouble. But you can be a bit weird at times, and it takes some time to know you. But once they know you, they will love you. And that has been true. People who have given me the time actually finds out I'm a pretty nice guy, and I'm okay to be around. I have some quirks, but who doesn't? But all this of me, of my insecurity stems from when I was a kid. And apparently it can be seen so clearly in me that no matter where I go on the internet, where no matter where I go out in real life, if people see me first instead of knowing me first, they for some reason think I'm not good enough. They don't want to talk to me. I'm worthless. But if someone becomes to know me without knowing who I am, they often be like, "Oh, you're actually a nice guy. You're actually kind of kind." And that's weird that it has this effect. But it all again stems from being bullied every day from adults and kids alike, which means that today I have anxiety, as I said, for schools, for the teachers, and for people, because if a teacher has power over me, I have a hard time trusting them. I have a hard time actually coping with them. And the same with schools, where when I go to school and I have to study, it's a hard time for me to get there. And because I fear what will happen in school. Will I get bullied again? Will I be frozen out of society? And it happens still as an adult, and it's terrifying for me. And I really hope no one gets bullied. But I have some advice though. If you are getting bullied, or if you think someone is getting bullied, ask someone about it. Talk to someone about it, because the more people you talk to about it, the more people you have to help you end the bullying, to become part of your buffer zone to the world to help you avoid the bullies. And I'm kind of happy that when I grew up, cell phones were not a thing. So I didn't have that pressure when I got home. When I got home, it was just me. There was no bullies there. But younger generations who have phones and can be contacted every hour of the day, who can get bullied 24/7. There's a reason why a lot of people who have been bullied actually end up killing themselves, because it is such a strain on the body and the mentally, and it fucks you over. And if you are in that situation 24/7 every day, you will crack at the end. And when you crack, you might end up killing yourself. I tried as a kid to kill myself. I think it was in sixth grade or something. I jumped out of from a bridge and I survived because I landed in a pool of water who apparently had a hole that was over 2 meter deep. And when I got up from the hole, I stood in waters to my ankles, but I hit a hole and survived. And after that, I didn't dare do it again. I have been on a roof prepared to jump out, but I couldn't do it. And that's horrible. And my parents were so devastated when they finally found out how I had it that it took days for them to actually stop trying for real because that is how horrifying it is to know that someone you love and care for has had such a horrible experience in such a long time without knowing. So I say to you, if you are bullied, you have to tell someone. Tell your parents, tell a teacher you trust, tell someone so they can begin to help you. And then, because if you're getting bullied and you think I can do this on my own, then it's like climbing a mountain with no arms and legs. But if you get your teacher and parents in on it, you get some legs. And if you get the teacher and your parents to talk to their parents as well, and making sure that their parents actually sticking to make sure you don't get bullied and having a talk with their kids and doing some effort, then you have a full body to climb over this hill. And then you can come down on the other side and actually have survived without having a massive trauma like a lot of others have to this day. So I hope this rambling about bullying has been helpful for some and an eye opener for someone because it is. I had some notes, but I couldn't do it because it's such a hard topic for me to talk about, even though I'm honest about everything in my life. And I really it was hard. I choked up a lot and had to stop the recording a lot. But I hope that you found this helpful and you use it to find someone who is being bullied, to tell them to turn off their phone when they get home, or to take talk to a teacher or some parents. And then I really hope that you can stop the bullying. I really hope that we can make this world a better place because bullying is the worst. And people who bully as a kid will bully as an adult. And bullying is just as terrifying as a kid. The effects are the same, and it's horrifying. And I really think we need to begin to have more empathy for the people around us so we don't bully and don't destroy lives. So this has been Rad Class, and I hope you have a pleasant day.